Well, get ready for another cold night across Central Oregon, and these in and out clouds continue. Hey everyone, good evening. Darrell Whittinger here. I'm the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and across the high desert today, we've seen a mixture of sunshine and a whole lot of cloud cover, and currently we still have some clouds through the Tri-County area this evening just before 5 o'clock, and even over the Cascades, we can see some low-level clouds. Now, some of that low-level cloud cover is going to descend and bring us some overnight fog. And what that really means is with temperatures getting even colder and the potential for some fog, the areas of freezing fog are expected. But when we look outside across Central Oregon as the sun is setting, we have some gorgeous sunset views, including Lake Billy Chinook. That one's always gorgeous, but so are each one of these cameras. Now, the Outback camera up at Bachelor, it shows some of that low-level cloud cover across the area from where it's looking. But as we go forward through tonight, that's what we can expect to descend a little bit, bringing us some of these areas of fog. So when we just take a pause and look at satellite and radar, what we have been seeing is in and out cloud cover, just not much at all on satellite. So in the way of precipitation, we are dry, but there is some moisture overhead, and this moisture is going to come into play through the overnight hours and during the day tomorrow. I know a lot of people would like me to say that it's going to equal snow, but that's not quite it. We're just looking at some freezing fog. That means slick roads are going to be possible for our morning commute. Really, anytime after 11 o'clock, we could be looking at some slick spots on the road, and that's PM through tonight. And that goes through tomorrow morning. So just keep that in mind for your morning commute. Currently, we are looking at satellite and radar. Radar's not showing much at all over the entire state. Satellite is a blend of visible and infrared, and we're going more to the infrared range because the sun is setting. Obviously, it's pretty hard to use visible satellite imagery at night, and that's why I use the blend right here. But when we look at the bigger picture and just infrared satellite imagery, now there is an enhancement with this infrared satellite imagery. We are where you see the bright oranges and the reds, that's where we have some taller clouds. And over the high desert, right now, it's mostly very low-level cloud cover. And the reason I wanted to show you this is that low-level cloud cover is a little sus tonight. And I do believe that that's going to start to come down lower in altitude, and that's what could bring us some of those areas of fog. But when it comes to our pressure, those white lines are isobars or equal lines of pressure. And when they're really spread out, we have a light breeze. It's exactly what we're seeing. A little bit stronger winds off the North California coastline. But when we look at the bigger picture, there is a broad ridge of high pressure just offshore. Now, this is what we refer to as a dirty high. There's a lot of cloud cover, even a little bit of sprinkle activity associated with it, but we're also continuing to track the development of another low pressure system. And when we take a look at the bigger picture, we can really start to see all of that low pressure that's over the Aleutian Islands. Now, the very edge of this looks like it's going over the North Pole. That is where the edge, the extent of the satellite imagery is, because think about it, the satellite is way out in geosynchronous orbit and it's looking at half the Earth at a time, and so we are starting to get to where this is getting closer to the edge of the satellite imagery. But that is a very strong system over the Aleutian Islands, and it does have a cold front that's digging into the northern Pacific Ocean. Now, this cold front is it's not weak, it's relatively stronger, but it's already starting to fizzle out, and it's because of this high pressure that the cold front is pushing up against our high. Now, that is bringing us some of that return moisture, and that's some of the moisture that's even over the high desert this evening. But that entire system is going to be breaking down as it gets a little closer. And when we switch gears just a little bit, still looking at satellite imagery, the bulk of the deep moisture is mostly on the other side of the Cascades, but there is some moisture through the Tri-County area, and we're not seeing too much in the way of very thick clouds right now, so it's not showing up very well at all on the water vapor satellite imagery. But we do know that this is going to be bringing us some in and out clouds through the next 24 hours or so. It's just not that significant right now when it comes to the big picture of what we can see with satellite imagery. Meanwhile, our forecast model does show that through the overnight hours, some areas of fog are expected, and some of that's going to become dense. It's also going to become freezing fog as temperatures continue to drop into the 20s tonight, so well below freezing. Add in the sub-freezing temperatures and the presence of fog, and that's where we could be looking at some of these slick roads that I've been talking about. Then through the day, that lifts up and dissipates after sunrise, and then we're back to more sunshine. And so that sunshine is expected after the clouds from our fog clear out, and still dry. Now, in areas of this freezing fog, some freezing drizzle, some sprinkle activity, and some flurry activity could be possible depending on where you are, and we'll be able to track that as we go through the night. But then by Thursday at noon, a few sprinkles showing up on radar, and that's going to be a shift in the weather pattern, getting more into an unsettled pattern instead of just in and out cloud cover and very chilly days. However, it doesn't look like much, and even if we keep an eye on the Cascades, we see at times where we get a little bit of blue or pink, but really no blue, not getting that moisture and the cold air that we need for snow in the Cascades. Now, already we have moderate to high relative humidity values in the 60 to 80% ranges, 60 to 75% ranges, 78% in Paulina. When we see the relative humidity in percentages get up to that 93 to 100% range, that's when we're really looking at the potential for some fog in that spot. Meanwhile, high temperatures in the last 24 hours have mostly been in the 40s with 53 degrees in Warm Springs. Temperatures this evening right now are sitting in the 40s with some 30s on the map, and they're going to be dropping pretty quickly. But even right now, we're sitting between 1 and 10 degrees warmer than we were 24 hours ago, except for once you get into higher elevations, it's cooler than it was 24 hours ago. Now, going forward through the overnight hours, an inversion sets up. That inversion is going to bring us everything we need. It's going to be the final straw that adds up to actually give us what we need for some developing fog. So for tonight, we're falling below freezing at 9 p.m. Average temperatures across the Tri-County area at freezing, meaning that some of us are already below freezing, especially in higher elevations. And overnight, we're well into the 20s. By tomorrow, 40s. Not many of us reaching into the 50s, though. So through Wednesday, just looking at a different forecast model, the first one that I showed you was a high-resolution one that really focused on precipitation and clouds, even streamlines. I kept the streamlines, but this one is showing geopotential heights. That really helps us understand where that broad ridge of high pressure is out over the Pacific Ocean, where a low pressure system is. It's purple, and another one further out over the Aleutian Islands, and what's happening between, how everything's setting up to bring us the inversion layer, to bring us what we need for some fog tonight. And a lot of that is being centered around this ridge of high pressure that's continuing to build into the region. Even through Wednesday, though, it stays cooler. Clouds will be thinning out through the day after that fog lifts up and dissipates. And then, still under high pressure Thursday, a warm front grazes by parts of the high desert. This could bring some sprinkles, but also it brings a bump in temperatures with highs in the 40s and some 50s. By Friday, still in the warm sector of that next system, we peak. Our warming trend peaks in the 50s with a few 40s until another warm front starts to approach. But we can already see that next warm front way offshore over the Gulf of Alaska. And then by Saturday, we'll be in the warm sector of that next system, so temperatures pick up again. Now, Thursday, our next chance of sprinkles. Friday, our next chance of showers. But tomorrow, on Wednesday, on hump day of this week, we're looking at temperatures that are going to be near average for this time of the year. Starting off in the 20s with highs in the 40s, so topping out in the 40s, and clearing is expected through the day with just a light breeze. Areas of AM fog will bring some slick roads to the high desert. Now, when it comes to showers, I mentioned that there is a chance of sprinkles Thursday. Best chance of rain holds off till Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. During that time, we will have roller coaster temperatures and winds will become breezy at times. And so now let's pivot one more time. We're going to go into the traditional forecast model, take a look at what I typically show you every night on air, and then I have another forecast model after this. This is set up this way so that way we can compare the two and see if the two forecast models are really lining up. So a ridge of high pressure is building into the region. Even with that, some areas of fog are expected tonight. By tomorrow, we start off with some fog that lifts up. It begins to dissipate, and by the evening hours, we're clear. Then the warm front of our next system rolls through Thursday morning. Could bring some sprinkles, but it'll be very hit and miss. By Friday, that's when we start to get some showers. These are going to be the showers that bring us our next round of wetting rain. Most of us are going to get wet. Not many of us actually even see a chance for snow until you're in the highest of elevations. And then by Saturday, more rain. So again, no snow, not even with that second system that rolls through. But then by Sunday, another weak system, another wave of moisture rolls through the high desert. So let's go ahead and look at a long range forecast model. This is intended to just compare to what we just saw and look at the long range and see if the models are agreeing, if there's going to be any difference in it. And really, all the way through the day tomorrow, we start off with some areas of fog and clouds. That lifts up, it starts to dissipate. By Thursday, again, maybe a few sprinkles. This one's showing less in the way of potential for rain on Thursday. So it could be some showers in the highest elevations and not much in the lower elevations. Then by Friday, that's when we get wet. Saturday, we're still getting wet. Sunday, the mountains are really absorbing a lot of this moisture, this wave after wave of moisture that'll be impacting us starting on Friday, going through this weekend. The mountains are absorbing a lot of that, but we will catch some showers, just again, not much at all in the way of precipitation that'll lead to snow through the Cascades. And so the highest elevations of the Three Sisters, we could be getting indeed up to a foot of new snow, but it's not really going to impact us where we want it, around those ski resorts. Meanwhile, going forward through the day on Saturday, we still carry that chance of some showers. And look, pardon me. Oh, I almost had to sneeze there. Okay, then looking even more into the future, this next forecast model run doesn't show much at all in the way of snow. This one actually shows that we're only getting up to 4 inches in the highest elevations of the Cascades. So ultimately, a whole lot of rain, not much in the way of snow at all. And as we go forward, winds have been a little bit breezy today, but they're going to start to taper off. Gusts at the moment are ranging between 10 and 20 miles per hour, mostly out of the north and the northeast, but actual winds about 2 to 12 miles per hour for most of the high desert. Now, when it comes to that winds trend, we're on the downhill side of the day, so it did get a little breezy at times, but winds are already starting to taper off, and as that continues, we're coming back down to a gentle breeze tonight. We keep a light breeze tomorrow, and then it could get a little breezy at times by Thursday going into Friday. So for tonight, 20s with a few teens. Some areas of fog and more clouds are expected. Actually, where we don't really get that much in the way of fog, we could actually see some clearing. Now, by Wednesday, highs are going to be in the 40s with mostly to partly cloudy conditions and then clearing during the afternoon getting into the evening. We're still not seeing much in the way of warming, highs near average for this time of the year. And then by Thursday and Friday, that's the modest bump in temperatures. After that, roller coaster temperatures are expected. More chances of precipitation Friday, Saturday, and Sunday than again on Tuesday, but by Tuesday, maybe a few sprinkles. So just to wrap this up for you, our weather headlines for this Tuesday, December the 2nd, areas of freezing fog are expected tonight. Cool days with in and out clouds are ahead, and showers are expected by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It will be a little bit more mild by the time we get to Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we could see some sprinkles, but right here and right now, we have areas of clearing already. We just have nothing in the way of precipitation. In fact, the closest precipitation is outside of our state. Now, there are a few sprinkles showing up on the radar, but other than that, we're really not going to see any of this come our way. The big thing that we're worried about tonight is areas of freezing fog, bringing us some slick roads. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News with the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.